Okay, I'm making this video to help you playtest, beta test this 1817 engine. I'm not going to get into all the details, it's a testing stage, but just wanted to give you a quick familiarity with sort of what's going on and how to go about testing this. So the main idea here is just to go through and do a bunch of actions, record those actions for us into some kind of log, and do all the calculations. It's not going to account for sort of runs and anything like that in the game. You're going to calculate that yourself. So how to go about doing the testing. So right now we're in the stock round. So I'll just kind of go through what everything here is. So turn round. So this is the first turn of the game, first round. And then that's the type of the round we are. This is the current interest rate, what the interest rate will be once the start of the operating round kicks in. How many issued loans there are in the game, the train distribution in the game, the last sold train, the current train limit. Here's your different actions, so you can buy, sell, or short shares. Those are during the stock round generally. Operate, do M&A actions, so you can choose one of the 5 types of M&A actions in here. And there's some helpers and stuff in here that shows you what to do. New loans, repay loans for companies, buy back shares, launching an IPO, the auction, initial action, and then some really rare buttons that probably won't have to use, but actually need to be tested the most because I haven't used them very much, which is the cash crisis, the bankruptcy, station markers, which are particularly rare. Only when you convert and for some reason say there aren't any New York loans, you can't actually buy a station marker. And so you have to refund it and it goes right away into liquidation. It's kind of a rare case. And then a new game. So if you want to start a new game, you just list the players here, you hit new, and it'll figure out what the starting cash is and set it all up and randomize the turn order. Okay, and then over here, what you have is just all the companies. To select a company, you just click on the little symbol, and you'll see it kind of pops up over here. This is the active selected company, and same thing with players. So if you select a player, it'll pop up there. And then the action that you can do with the player is right here. So you'll notice right here, if I try to do a buy, I get a message. There is some logic in here. It's not totally robust, and I'm not trying to make it cover all the cases, but it covers most things. So in this case, no shares available. So this company needs to IPO first. So that's the reason we can't buy any of its shares, because they don't exist. But you'll notice the green IPO is on, and then we could set the initial cash price here. The way to kind of read the inputs and outputs is inputs are all the light blue backgrounds. So if it doesn't have light blue, you shouldn't be writing in there. So like this one, for example, is a white background. Same with all these ones. Here's a blue background. So you can put something in there, but you wouldn't change anything here. It's going to look it up for you. So so that's how that works. There's a weird bug in here. Sometimes you don't get the drop down. Actually, it turns out I'm not getting it right now. And usually you should get a drop down here that lets you choose from a list. But if you don't get the drop down, just write exactly what the name of the thing is. So like if you want to buy the train station, just value paste it over to here, and it'll let you buy the train station. So for example, let's say we're in the auction round and I'm buying the train station for 40, and the normal cost is 80. It's going to use $40 from the seed. So I hit auction. Currently I've selected John to buy it. So I'm going to hit auction, and then what that's going to do is it's going to show that John has purchased the train station, and sure enough his money has gone down by 40. As you can see, he's got 140 out of everyone else has got 180, and the seed money is also gone down by 40 because it contributed. So then if somebody else did an auction, let's say Alex then went and bought something, so you would put in his bid. So let's say he bid 30 on... No, Alex would never bid that much. Who am I kidding? So I'll put in the coal mine. He puts in 30 for let's say 35 for the coal mine. And then you hit auction. And again, now Alex has bought the coal mine. So you can continue that until sort of the auction round is finished. And it's going to record all the transaction values anytime you hit that button. Now, notice I try to do it again. That private's already been bought. So it kind of knows that the coal mine's already been bought. So you have to change it. It'll also account for the seed money and how much is left. So it's kind of doing all the logic and calculations for you. It's the main idea. So once you're done the auction, let's say we're done. Now we go into the IPO round. So you select a company you want to IPO. Let's say Alex is IPOing Bess. Then he just selects how much money he wants to put into it. Let's say he's putting 100, and then he also could select which privates he wants. So the way you do that is you actually, again, the light blue, remember background tells you that it's an active thing that you can change. So if you put a 1 beside the coal mine, you'll see it comes up here. And then right now the bid is 160, $100 cash plus $60 privates. You hit IPO, and it sets up the company. So over here, I don't know what's going on. Just hit some loop. That was really weird. Okay. Something weird happened. But anyway, so that this shows BESS has been launched. It's a type 2 company. There's the president. Here's how much cash it has. Or sorry, the price that it IPO'd at, the cash, the loans, the trains. Quick comment is worth making on trains. So the way those kind of work is, normally the game has trains 2 through 8 with a 2+. This version has 1 through 8. Basically, the 1s are the 2s, and the 2+s are now 2s, if that makes sense. So yeah, so basically, if you see a 1, that means it's the 2 train. If you see a 2, that means it's the 2+ train, and the rest match. So that just makes a lot of the stuff easier to do. And it shows you. So anyway, so you go through here, and everybody IPOs. And eventually you'll be finished. When you're done the IPO round, you can hit, or the stock round, you can hit end. And what that's going to do is switch you into the first operating round. And what you typically want to do, actually, even also during the stock round, is just use this next button. So whenever a company is finished in the M&A rounds, or a player is finished buying and shorting and stuff, you hit the next button. It'll automatically figure out who's next in the order. So it'll do that. And then operating is actually even nicer. When you operate, it'll move it to the next person automatically and select the president for the company that it chose. So for example, let's operate with BESS. Unfortunately, we only have one company. Probably should have floated more. But let's say, actually, it doesn't have a train yet. So it's worth making a comment about how you buy trains. Remember, the blue is, again, the input area. I should probably make these blue too, but these oranges are also inputs. I just wanted to be clear about what they are. So oranges are taking loans. This is taking a loan before the round begin, at the very start of an operating round. This is taking a loan. Let's just highlight. It's after running trains, but before paying interest. And then this is new loans after paying interest, usually to affect the price and cash level. So really, it says you can take loans anytime, but there's sort of 3 times that actually matter. It's like at the start, before you run your trains, after you run your trains, but before you pay interest, and then if you want to do some kind of price manipulation, you could actually take it after in order to avoid paying interest. But you want to like knock the price down or something. So those are the kind of 3 times it matters to take loans. So you can do that there. You put in here how much you spent, for example, on tiles, or how much money you made on tiles. If it's a negative value, say you actually made money on like you had private coal company with Mountaineers or whatever. And then you do your run. So let's say you do your run, you put it in here. It's going to do all the calculations for it. It's going to show you, okay, before, again, none of this stuff you'll write because it doesn't have a color background. But you had $100 before the run, so that's just making sure you had enough cash to do all the stuff before you ran your trains. This is how much you had after you bought trains, after you paid interest, and then how much you ended up with. So it's going to figure out, like in this case, since I'm not buying any trains, I'm going to be putting this company into train liquidation mode, which it'll automatically do. I could buy a train here, and you'll notice that takes it off. The way we buy trains is actually think of them as individually. So you don't say I'm buying like 100 here. You say 1 for the 1 train. Let's say I was buying a 1 train and a 2 train. So I go like that, 1 and 2. Or if I was buying like the 4 train and a 5 train, I'd go like that. Or if I was just buying the 4, I'd go like that. So it's basically like per train, you just put in that number, and it's going to figure out how much it's going to cost over here. This is going to figure out your interest rate automatically. And then how much, or here's your interest rate, sorry, and then this is how much you're actually spending on additional trains. So if you want to buy trains from other players or other companies, you put them there, or from the pool, for example. Okay, so, and then once you're done operating, you click operate. It's going to show you the jumping, and hopefully some of the stuff should be kind of intuitive as you play along. Just kind of go through it and try to do different things. If you have questions, let me know. And then as you operate, it should shift it forward to the next person. And once you're done the operating round, you'll go to the merger round, and it'll actually automatically make that switch for you if you've operated each company. So if we went through and operated, it'll automatically jump. And then you go into the M&A round, and again, you just kind of click next if the person's skipping with that company, and it'll go to the next person, or take an action with them if they're doing some kind of M&A. And buying back shares, this is the action for when it's the stock round and you want to buy back shares for the company. So you do that there, and also you take loans out for the company if you want. You'll notice there's a little green and reds, so that's just basically telling you whether the action is viable right now. So like if I tried to buy right now, it's like you don't have enough cash. Alex, these things in this case it doesn't have cash, but there's a lot of reasons why it's not working. That's just the first one that it found. So that's okay if it gives you kind of one of many reasons. I think I'll probably kind of leave it there-ish. The rest of it, there's IPO buyback shares. Crisis is just moving money from the player to the company. So often that'll happen, like if you, if you need to give the money to the company for some reason, you'll need to sell shares. You'll do that up here, and then you would just click on how much money you're transferring over. Ideally, I think you can't ever move more than to zero out the cash. So you basically do that. I should add that as a logic. Actually, I don't think I have. And then there's station market refunds. We already went through that. And that's kind of it. Like you just sort of go through and it tracks everything for you. And I think it's a way to really speed up the game. But remember, at any time you can change things. Oh, what does this little Pac-Man do, you're wondering? That just eliminates everything that's selected, deselects everything. So if you want to select, you can always just select on a company. It'll select it over here, and then the player down here who's acting. So if you're buying shares, for example, you'd select the player and the company that you want to buy in or sell in. Yeah, so it's I think it's kind of slick, but it sort of works. And the cool thing about it is every time you take an action, it logs it in here. So I built this kind of log, and it tells us, hey, what's the action being taken, who took the action. So a new game we started, what was the action, what was bought, timestamps it, shows us how long it was since the last action, so we can even start bugging Justin for taking long turns, because we'll actually have it all documented. And then we can really see how the game, there's a net value calculation over here, net worth, that's being tracked through the game and logged every single impulse, every action. So we'll be able to kind of watch that at the end. I think it'll be kind of fun. We'll see some really cool analytics after the game. Leave it there for you guys. My ask is to test it. This is in version 1.0. Everything should be in theory working. Some stuff like cash crisis and bankruptcy and this stuff down here has really been tested like minimally, like almost never. Whereas like the buying and operating and M&As and stuff like that should be more decent, but they definitely could use some testing as well. And so just test it. And if you notice something not working as you expect it, then just let me know. I'll be testing it too, but I just want to get more testers using it so that I can get more feedback, and we can hopefully get it to a state that is fully functional by by mid-September, when we're hoping to play this. I also did project it. I put it onto the screen on one of my televisions, and I've got it optimized. It's not optimized right now. The zoom at 92% is optimal, and it fills the whole screen. It's completely visible, so you can see all the numbers, and you don't actually have to move it once you start. So after the auction round, basically the bottom of the screen will be here, and the side of the screen will be here, and it makes it really nice because it's just the whole game plays in one screen. And it's pretty efficient usage, and you can read everything off the TV very easily. So we'll set that up on one side of the poker table, and then we'll just circle around the other side, and it should. My guess is it'll actually dramatically reduce the time. I bet we'll finish by 10 o'clock if we're lucky, but I guess we'll see. Okay, so I'll leave it there, guys, and hopefully you guys get a chance to check this out. All right.